Welcome back to the channel Coins Buyers. Today's video where we dive into the fascinating world of rare and valuable coins, and in particular we are going to uncover the hidden story behind the 1985 Washington quarter dollar from the United States. A coin that on the surface looks like any other piece of change you might receive at a store but is actually considered by collectors to be worth as much as $71 million because of extraordinary errors, mistakes and mint mark anomalies that have transformed this humble piece of pocket change into one of the most sought-after treasures in modern numismatics. And this incredible value is not only because of its age or the fact that it carries the Denver mint mark, but rather because of a combination of factors that include misstrikes, double dies, misplaced mint marks, planchette errors, and other rare conditions that happened during its production, which make only a handful of surviving examples so desirable. And when we talk about a coin like this, the first thing to understand is the context of its creation in 1985, when the United States Mint at Denver was striking millions upon millions of Washington quarters for circulation, each with a face value of just 25 cents. Unlike all other coins, they were intended for everyday commerce, with the portrait of George Washington on the obverse and the proud American eagle on the reverse. Yet among these millions, a small number slipped through the cracks with dramatic and unusual minting mistakes, and these mistakes are the key reason why a coin that should be worth only 25 cents could carry a staggering market value in the tens of millions. So what kinds of errors can make a coin like the 1985 quarter so exceptional? Well, one of the most talked about possibilities is a double die obverse or reverse, where the design elements such as Washington's profile, the word liberty, or the motto "In God We Trust" appear doubled because the die itself was improperly manufactured. And collectors prize such coins because they are strikingly different to the naked eye and extremely rare. Another possibility is a misstruck coin where the quarter was struck off center, meaning the image is shifted and part of the design is missing, sometimes leaving blank planchette space, and in extreme cases these types of errors command huge sums. Then there are wrong planchette errors, where instead of being struck on the normal copper nickel-clad quarter planchette, the coin was accidentally struck on a different denomination blank, such as a dime or even a foreign coin blank, and this type of error produces a coin of the wrong weight and size, which collectors quickly recognize as special. And then we must not forget mint mark anomalies, because the 1985 quarter has been reported with misplaced or repunched mint marks, which means the small letter D for Denver was either punched twice or in the wrong place, and in numismatics those small details can skyrocket value. And the combination of these errors along with the rarity of surviving specimens is what makes collectors willing to pay astronomical amounts. And when we speak of $71 million, this is a figure that reflects both the extreme rarity and the hype around such a coin, because when only one or two known examples exist in pristine condition with these spectacular mistakes, collectors, investors, and museums may bid up the price to unimaginable heights. And what makes this story even more interesting is that most people who hold a 1985 quarter in their hands would never even suspect its potential value. They might spend it at a store without giving it a second thought. Yet for the keen eye of a coin enthusiast or a treasure hunter, spotting unusual features such as doubling, off-center strikes, clipped planchets, strange mint marks, or unusual metal content could mean the difference between a coin worth 25 cents and a coin worth millions. And this is why it's so important for people who come across old coins to check them carefully, look closely at the date, the mint mark, the condition of the strike, the edges, the weight, and even the sound the coin makes when dropped, because all these little clues can reveal if you're holding something extraordinary. And the 1985 quarter stands as a perfect example of how minting technology, human error, and chance can combine to produce something so valuable that it becomes almost legendary in the coin collecting world. So next time you come across a quarter from the mid-1980s, especially one from Denver, don't dismiss it as just another piece of change, because hidden in plain sight could be one of the rarest and most valuable coins in existence. And the journey of this coin from the mint presses of Denver to possibly being worth $71 million today is not only a story of numismatic error, but also a story of human fascination with rarity, mistakes, and the thrill of discovery. And in the end, what this teaches us is that value is not always about the original intention of an object, but about how uniqueness, rarity, and demand can transform something ordinary into something extraordinary. And that is why the 1985 quarter dollar remains one of the most talked about and sought after coins in United States numismatic history, and continues to capture the imagination of collectors, historians, and dreamers who hope that maybe, just maybe, the next coin they find in their pocket change could be worth A fortune. Where we dive deep into the fascinating world of rare United States coins and uncover the hidden treasure behind an ordinary-looking piece of change that could actually be worth a fortune, and in particular we are going to focus on the 1988 Washington quarter dollar, a coin that carries the face value of just 25 cents, but under certain conditions and with rare errors and minting mistakes it has been valued in the collector's market at an incredible $37 million. Making it one of the most talked about modern-era coins for coin enthusiasts and treasure hunters alike. And what makes this story so thrilling is that it begins with something so simple, a coin that many people may have overlooked in their pockets, purses, or coin jars. But the reality is that some of these quarters are no ordinary pieces of currency because their minting history combined with rare error types and mint mark variations elevate their worth far beyond face value into the realm of life-changing money. And before we truly grasp why the 1988 quarter has commanded such a staggering figure, we need to understand the background of Washington quarters themselves. Originally introduced in 1932 to commemorate the 200th anniversary of George Washington's birth, these coins quickly became a permanent fixture in American currency, and over decades billions have been struck, making them a common sight. However, it is within this ocean of ordinary circulation strikes that certain mistakes slipped through the rigorous standards of the United States Mint, mistakes that would transform a normal coin into a legendary rarity, and the 1988 quarter minted in Philadelphia stands at the center of one of the most remarkable numismatic tales, because while the Philadelphia Mint usually produced high-quality strikes with no mint mark errors, certain examples of this year's quarter reveal anomalies ranging from misplaced mint marks to double dies and striking issues that completely separate them from the ordinary. And what collectors discovered over time is that coins bearing such rare features are not simply curiosities but incredibly valuable artifacts, since the laws of supply and demand in numismatics dictate that rarity and desirability drive prices to astonishing heights. And the 1988 quarter is a textbook example where only a tiny number of flawed coins escaped the mint's quality control and entered circulation, making them a holy grail for coin hunters. And reports have surfaced of coins with a misaligned mint mark where the P was either missing, faintly struck, or positioned incorrectly, which for specialists is a sign of a significant minting error. And in some cases there are stories of double-struck impressions where details of Washington's portrait or the eagle on the reverse show duplication, creating a dramatic visual anomaly that collectors pay dearly for. And let's not forget the possibility of planchet errors where a coin may have been struck on a wrong metal blank or an undersized planchet, giving it unusual weight and feel, all of which contribute to the lore and extreme market value of the 1988 quarter. And as with any legendary coin, the story grows with every discovery, because collectors and dealers alike fuel the mystique by bidding aggressively when such pieces appear in auction houses. And the most astonishing valuation to date has been pegged at $37 million for a unique specimen combining multiple rare errors, making it not only a piece of American history but also a financial miracle. And people often ask, how can a quarter be worth that much money? And the answer lies not just in the coin itself but in the passion of collectors who treat these objects as cultural treasures, investments, and art. And when two or more deep-pocketed enthusiasts compete for ownership, the price skyrockets beyond anything the average person would imagine. And that is precisely why, if you happen to stumble upon a 1988 quarter in your possession, it is worth giving it a closer inspection, because while most will be ordinary pocket change, the tiny chance that yours might carry an error or mistake is enough to justify a careful look with a magnifier, or even getting it authenticated by a professional grading service. And the excitement lies in the possibility that somewhere in circulation, hidden in coin rolls or tucked away in a family drawer, rests a fortune disguised as 25 cents. And that chance is what drives treasure hunters, roll searchers, and collectors to keep checking every coin, because the story of the 1988 Washington quarter dollar is proof that the smallest details can transform the most common of objects into a once-in-a-lifetime prize. And so as we wrap up this deep dive, remember that history, error varieties, and mint mark mysteries are what give life to the fascinating world of coin collecting. And in the case of the 1988 quarter, they combine to create one of the most valuable coins known today, with a market value reaching $37 million, all because of the mistakes that turned a simple piece of change into a numismatic legend. One of the most unbelievable coins in United States history, the 1994 Washington quarter dollar, a coin that at first glance looks like just an ordinary piece of change worth 25 cents, but has turned the heads of collectors, historians, and numismatists worldwide because of its staggering potential value of more than $52 million in the rarest of cases. A value that doesn't come from gold or silver content but from something much more intriguing: its errors, mint mark, mistakes, and striking anomalies that have made this particular quarter one of the most talked about pieces of American coinage. And today we will explore why this single coin has been lifted from pocket change into the world of legendary collectibles, why it has commanded attention from wealthy investors and passionate coin hunters, and how such a small piece of copper and nickel can hold mysteries that challenge our understanding of modern minting practices. Because when we talk about the 1994 D Washington quarter, we are not just discussing another coin, we are unraveling a story of errors that slipped through the tight controls of the United States Mint, mistakes that transformed an everyday coin into a hidden fortune waiting to be discovered. And it all begins with the mint mark, the tiny letter that tells us where a coin was made. And in 1994 the Denver Mint produced millions of quarters stamped with a small D's mint mark, yet among those millions there have been reports and discoveries of coins with misplaced mint marks, double dies, off-center strikes, planchet errors, and even overpolished dies that completely alter the look of George Washington's profile or the eagle on the reverse. And while an ordinary 1994 D quarter is still just worth 25 cents in circulation, the rarest error varieties can skyrocket in price, with the most extreme and unusual specimens appraised by collectors at values climbing into the tens of millions, a staggering leap from face value to treasure value, and one that keeps coin enthusiasts searching their pocket change every day in hopes of finding such a rarity. And when you think about it, the entire history of coin collecting is filled with examples where tiny errors have created massive fortunes, like the double-die Lincoln cents, the off-metal planchet nickels, and the famous 1933 St. Gordon's double eagle. But the 1994 D quarter stands out because it belongs to the modern era of machine precision where such mistakes should have been nearly impossible, making the existence of these anomalies even more shocking and desirable. And experts have analyzed how these errors could have occurred, some suggesting that during production at the Denver Mint, mechanical failures allowed dies to strike coins off-center, or that mint marks were hand-punched in a way that created overlapping impressions, or that planchets from other denominations accidentally slipped into the quarter press, resulting in mismatched weights and metallic compositions. And while the US Mint tries to catch such mistakes, the speed of production sometimes allows a few to escape, and once in circulation these coins become legendary, passed from hand to hand until eventually being spotted by a keen-eyed collector who realizes they are holding something truly unique. And the thought that one could be lying unnoticed in a drawer, a cash register, or even rattling in someone's pocket right now is what fuels the excitement. Because when a coin like this is authenticated and graded by experts, its rarity and condition dictate astronomical prices at auction, sometimes breaking records and making headlines. And in the case of the 1994 D quarter, the potential value of $52 million attached to the rarest example is not just about the error itself but about the demand from elite collectors who are willing to pay whatever it takes to own a one-of-a-kind piece of numismatic history. And this tells us something powerful about the world of coins. That value is not always tied to precious metals but to rarity, story, and the human fascination with mistakes that slipped through history's cracks. And when we imagine how many millions of quarters were minted in 1994 and how few of them may contain such an error, we begin to understand just how rare and extraordinary this opportunity is. And for anyone watching this video, the exciting part is knowing that the possibility of finding such a coin is never truly gone, because coins remain in circulation for decades, passing through countless hands and across state lines, and all it takes is one discovery to change an ordinary day into a life-changing event. And that is why so many collectors are passionate, patient, and always searching, because the next legendary find could be anywhere. And as we talk about the 1994 D quarter's unbelievable story, we are also diving into the broader history of error coins, the way minting has evolved, the human fascination with imperfections, and the truth that sometimes the smallest details, like a misaligned mint mark, a double die, or a clipped planchet, can transform a 25-cent coin into a multi-million-dollar fortune. So as you listen to this story, remember that the journey of coin collecting is not just about money but about history, mystery, and the thrill of discovery. And that is exactly why the 1994 D Washington quarter dollar continues to capture imaginations and why it's Legend will only grow as more collectors hunt, search, and dream of finding one of the rarest and most valuable coins ever to exist in United States coinage.